And I think I'm going to start letting everybody from the waiting room. Let's see, admit all. And then I'm going to close, end the.
I woke up feeling great. The birds are in the trees. They're singing me a melody. La 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 la, fuck the police. My head is on straight. My heart is in peace. My soul is incredibly ready to change history. It's a good day to fight the system. To fight the system. It's a good day. It's a good day. We're never gonna stop. We're gonna make it count. When one of us is tired out.
Welcome in, welcome in.
We're gonna spread the love.
Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, say where you're calling from.
And way down in the underground. To fight the system. To fight the system. It's a good day. It's a to fight the system. To fight the system. It's a good day. It's a
Hello, everyone.
to fight the system. To fight the system. It's a good day. It's a to fight the system. To fight the system. It's a
Welcome in, everyone. What do you think? Should we wait another couple minutes while people come in or get started?
Let's get started.
Let's get started. Why not? Welcome, everyone, to the 5th Annual Climate Justice Awards. Feel free to keep introducing yourself in the chat. Love seeing where everybody is calling from. And as you probably saw when you came in, this call is going to be recorded. So we will have it for posterity, but really appreciate everyone here tonight. We wanted to welcome you to this event, which is the 5th Annual Climate Justice Awards. Technically, we can't find proof that this is actually the 5th one, but we called last year's the 4th, so we're just going to hope nobody calls our bluff and go with it. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Zoe Jonick. I use she, her pronouns. I'm from Oakland, and I am the lead organizer at 350 Bay Area. I have had the pleasure of growing into the Bay Area climate justice world via 350 Bay Area and the youth-led mobilizing team. And it is through this organizing team that I've gotten the opportunity to know the incredible ecosystem of activists, advocates, artists, scientists, policy wonks and leaders that make up our Bay Area climate justice community. Our team at 350 Bay Area is made up of some of the most dedicated and knowledgeable volunteer leaders and community members out there, working passionately towards solutions of phasing out fossil fuels, investing and transitioning in electric and renewables, and pushing for policies at the local and state level that will achieve meaningful climate justice. But as you all know, we can't achieve meaningful justice without working together as a community, and our movement is really more than the sum of its parts. We are a collaborative and a collective, and collective power and collective liberation comes from all of our teams and all of our organizers working together over this long marathon of a movement that we have here. We're really honored to be able to share with you tonight the work of 5 incredible honorees, individuals and organizations that have been pushing for climate justice at the local, state, and federal level here in our community. And these folks are really some of the most incredible people. We wanted to just take one night to spotlight some of them and give them their flowers, as it were. And I want to appreciate everyone for joining us and supporting these folks, as well as those of you who made donations to the honorees this evening. So without further ado, I will explain how the evening is going to go. We are going, we're right now in the welcome section, and then we are going to present each of the honorees, and following each of them having 10 minutes to speak about their work, we will have a question and answer section where they can answer your questions. Feel free to also put things in the chat. And then after that, we will close out and have you get back to your Friday evening. So thank you so much. And I am going to pass it over to Jack for our first honoree.
Okay, so it's a really, really great honor to be able to introduce, to give this award to Congresswoman Barbara Lee, who I've followed her career pretty closely because I've been active in Oakland politics for many, many years. And I had the privilege of reading, and I very much urge you to read her autobiography, Renegade for Peace and Justice. And that's what she definitely has built her career around, peace and justice. And I think that we're honoring her because we know she's not running for re-election this year, and she didn't win the Senate, unfortunately. Wish that she were up there in the runoff this year, but that's the way politics goes. You don't always win. And I can just say she's born in El Paso, moved to San Fernando, then ended up in the Bay Area. In Oakland, she went to Mills College. She worked with the Black Panthers, and she campaigned for Shirley Chisholm in 1972. She became a staff member for Ron Dellums, our great congressman, for many, many years. She joined the California Assembly in the 90s and ran for the Senate, was in the state Senate. Then she was elected to Congress in 1998. She became kind of a celebrity in a very positive way in my mind when she voted not to authorize the use of military force after the 9/11. She was the only person in Congress that had the nerve to do that. And she was proven to be right. And I remember a big rally in downtown Oakland of people supporting her when she made that choice. And it's really great to be in a district that she has the support of people to really speak for peace and justice, which is exactly what she stands for. So she represents Berkeley, Oakland, San Leandro, Alameda, that whole area here in the East Bay. And I think she really represents everything that we aspire to in 350 Bay Area. She's had I was just kind of trying to remember what she's done around the climate. I can read this little thing from her website. I hope I'm not taking your thunder here, Joseph, but she says in Congress, she's working to combat and prevent climate change. She has long opposed taxpayer-funded giveaways to big oil and other major polluters. Instead, she has advocated for increased investments in clean, renewable energy technologies, Congresswoman Lee is fighting to ensure that good paying jobs created by the growing green energy sector are open to all, especially people of color, women, and veterans. So with that introduction, I'm going to introduce Joseph Hanson, who is a field representative and caseworker for Barbara Lee. And Joseph, can you tell us a little bit more about Barbara and what she does?
Yeah, so as Jack gave that wonderful introduction, my name is Joseph Hanson. I am a field representative in the Office of Congresswoman Barbara Lee. The Congresswoman really regrets not being able to be in attendance tonight. Unfortunately, she has other obligations, as is usually the case, so you guys wind up stuck with me. But she sent me here when she heard about this event. One, she was excited about it, and she was very honored to be honored by you guys, and very much respects and appreciates your guys' engagement, not just on this issue, but with our community more broadly. So she sent me here kind of with two things to really reiterate. The first is that she has been an advocate on this issue, from more recent forays into things like the Smoke Act, and previously opposing all sorts of different Republican messaging bills regarding and related to climate action. She has long been ahead of the curve on climate, and she will continue to be a fierce advocate for the remainder of her term. I am 100% sure that she's also going to continue to work on these issues, just like she's going to continue to work on many of these issues as long as she feels like afterwards and after leaving the House of Representatives. I can tell you that she's has no intention of slowing down. And so she's very honored to be here tonight. She wanted to express her enthusiasm and her dedication, but also her appreciation for the wonderful work that you guys do. It counts for something, and it means something. Us being able to do our jobs and her being able to do her job in Congress is contingent upon the engagement of the community on all sorts of issues. And your guys' engagement and activism, and generally just being out there and present, really does matter. It doesn't not always feel, I think for a lot of activists in the Bay Area, it doesn't always feel like it moves the needle because the federal government is a ginormous cruise ship that moves so slowly. But it really does mean something, and it really empowers us, and it empowers the Congresswoman to be able to go out there and say, no, this is what my constituents want. This is what people in our district want. This is what Americans want. And we really appreciate and want to honor and celebrate the work that you guys are doing, in addition to appreciating the honor that you have given her with this award. Thank you.
So Zoe, if you want to share the screen, the shot of the award itself, I could read what we're saying here. Can you do that? So certificate of appreciation to Congresswoman Barbara Lee in recognition of your decades of service fighting for human rights and a healthy environment, supporting positive actions such as the Green New Deal, while resisting backward steps such as pulling out of the Paris Climate Agreement. And, you know, we've been working with Barbara in many issues for many, many years, and just know that she's always somebody we can count on. So it's certainly something we'd like to convey to, hope that you can convey to her, Joseph. And thank you for being here. We really appreciate the staff showing up to, receive the award.
No problem. Thank you for everything you guys do, and I will definitely convey all of your sentiments to her.
And I'm really enthused to hear that she plans to still be active, because there's plenty of work to be done, and she could be a very positive force. If she wants to be on a board of directors, let her know that we're open, we're recruiting. So, we'd love to have any way we can work with Barbara would be wonderful.
Awesome. I'll be sure to pass anything like that along.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Jack. Really appreciate it. We're gonna go ahead and go to our next honoree, which I am so excited to say are the Rich City Rays. Let me go ahead and add a spotlight to our spokesperson here, Osho, who is a representative of the Rich City Rays this evening. The Rich City Rays is a grassroots partnership of community groups and climate justice activists in Richmond, California, who are using kayaktivism as a form as a force to address the climate crisis and environmental injustice through community-led, nonviolent direct action on the water. They work to empower the communities most harmed by fossil fuel operations in the Bay Area to stand up to corporate polluters. As Insight Climate News put it in their very recent coverage of the Rays, the Rich City Rays embrace kayaking as a form of nonviolent protest to raise awareness in the disproportionate harm oil development from extraction to refining causes on communities of color like Richmond. The kayaktivists deploy their crafts as vessels for social change in nonviolent actions designed to call attention to global reach and harm of the oil giant that operates in their backyard. I am personally super excited to be able to present the Rich City Rays with this Climate Justice Award this evening, as this group has been a true inspiration and spark of creative and impactful actions here in the Bay Area. Their organizing has truly furthered and fueled our local climate movement so much. It encourages us to collectively think creatively about what an action can look like and what it can mean both to the people participating and the people watching. So we really appreciate you. Thank you for being here, and I'll pass it to you, Asha.
Thank you so much, Zoe. Also just want to extend so much gratitude to the other awardees being recognized tonight for their work and all the work that they're doing in their own communities. The Rich City Rays started over 4 years ago in response to the devastating impacts of extraction that we see in our own backyard. And we've now grown into a collective of people who are working towards a more sustainable future for and with communities in Richmond, as we're reconnecting with our own relationship to the water and to the Bay. So we're proud to stand together against Chevron and other extractive companies, and to stand in solidarity with Palestine, with Ecuador, with Richmond, and all communities whose health and well-being are being impacted by extractive fossil fuel companies. We fight for Chevron out of Richmond and for Chevron out of Palestine. And I'd like to pass it over to Alfredo as well.
Hey y'all. Yeah, thank you for the award. Thank you, Asho, for these words, and the presenters for throwing this together. I really just wanted to take some time to share that something that's kind of been sitting in my heart over the last few months, and really thinking about how in terms of like the inspiration for the Rays and for our organizing, I think environmental racism has always been at the root of all of the organizing that a lot of us have done that come to the Rays, and I think find it important to address that what started this process of environmental racism in what is now the San Francisco Bay Area, fueled by colonial capitalism, was the genocide of the Ohlone people, a genocide that was sanctioned by all of the bells and whistles of a democratic republic, that went beyond just killing people, but was about the erasure of them from the history books, from maps, from the soil, from the land that we live on today, and enforced by legal systems that were built to deny them opportunities to say anything to the white man in court. Today they're still not a federally recognized tribe, and that means that the government doesn't see them as native peoples, in the words of Karina Gold. She said in a lecture in 2018 of their status, she said, I am a figment of your imagination. I do not exist in the eyes of the federal government. And it was this fundamental belief that the Ohlone people were not people, that allowed for settlements that grew to towns, that built refineries, that built shipyards, that paved shell mounds to build parking lots on top of indigenous bones. I think that actively working to disassemble these systems from Richmond to Palestine is an essential part of our work if we are moving towards a world that takes environmental and social justice at the heart of it. I think it is part of our duty to fight against settler colonialism, to see a world that is brighter, that is more fair, where all children can grow to belong and be free from all sort of harms. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asho and Alfredo. You guys are so awesome. I don't know if you want to share in this time if anything about how you all got involved with the Rays or anything about how your experience has been with the actual like operation and organizing of the Rays. I know I'm sure folks here are also curious about that.
Yeah, I can share a little bit about that. We started like 2, 3 years ago, as I think Isabella Zizi from I Don't Know More SF got the idea with some inspiration from the Mosquito Fleet, who sent me a care package a couple of days ago. Shout out to them. But they are like a kayak activism group up in the Pacific Northwest who do organizing against oil and gas operations in their community. And obviously, we have Chevron here. The community in Richmond has resisted the pollution from Chevron for generations, and we really saw this as a like really unique opportunity to do some action on the water in a way that highlighted Chevron, but also at the same time allowed us to create a space where we can provide increased access for Black and Brown youth in Richmond to kayaking, to the sport that historically is dominated by white folks and it has excluded Black and Brown youth. We've been really lucky enough to partner with some local outfitters to be able to like put a bunch of people through classes, and it's really like a really like kind of democratic way that we do things, where members are all kind of organizing and making things happen together, and we all come from kind of different come to like this container, as if you want to call it that, from like different types of organizing, whether it's like folks in labor, folks coming from like the like Palestinian Solidarity Movement, and and us environmental folks, or folks working on local police alternative efforts. So it's really cool. It's a really kind of beautiful thing that kind of sprouted from the community that has been able to grow over the last 3 years. Our first action was like, I think like 24 people kayaking around Keller Beach in circles with some flags, looking real cool. And just I think last week, 2 weeks ago, we had an action where we got I don't know if this number is still right, but to the estimates were that there was going to be like 70 people out on the beach on the water, and we were able to block these tankers with it. It was like a real like we had a bunch of people come out like on kayaks. I mean, you've all probably seen the videos, but it's really beautiful just the way that things have developed over the last few years. We've really been rooted in this idea that we do this work not just out of a hate for Chevron and anger for the things that they've done to our community over the last century, over the last decades, but for a love for our community, for a love for Richmond, and a recognition that we have a right to have a relationship to the water. We have a right to have a relationship to the land, just as much as these corporations have a right to do their thing. The people were here before the refineries and the shipyards and the parking lots, and we'll continue to fight for a future where we all belong. I mentioned earlier. Yeah, and super great. Yeah, I don't know if you want to add anything, Asha, but super grateful for this recognition. All the Rays are super excited that we're getting this.
Yeah, I can share a little bit more about how I came into the Rays. I've been with the Rays for a little under a year now, and I think what's been so amazing for me is like I really didn't have a lot of kayaking experience before this. I tell the story a lot of like the first paddle I ever went to, I like fell into the water immediately. And it's just kind of been going uphill from there. So I think that like this community is so incredible because so many people care so much about Richmond and about communities all across the Bay Area. I didn't grow up in Richmond, but I grew up in Bayview. And so I see a lot of solidarity between both communities, and really understand that there's a lot of misunderstanding about access to water and access to the bay. And I feel like I've really been able to develop that reconnection to water. And when we talk about that, it's this kind of feeling of like ensuring that when people are out on the water together, it's something that's nourishing. It's something that's furthering our love for the work that we're doing. It doesn't feel extractive. It doesn't feel like you're burning out or anything like that. It's a chance for everyone to come together and remind ourselves like why we're out here together. So that part has just been really beautiful for me, and I feel really grateful to be a part of the Rays and to have met everybody that I've met and learned so much from everyone. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Asha and Alfredo. Y'all are awesome. And if anyone ever gets a chance to attend one of the paddle trainings, I highly recommend it. Not only is it super fun and rewarding, you also might see some seals, which is a bonus. Seals or sea lions? I'm not quite sure.
You'll see both, maybe.
You'll see
I'll
both.
see both.
Super recommend. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. And let me here I'll share my screen with the official award of in recognition of your creative and inspiring work of taking activism to the water and bringing the dramatic presence of the Cactivist to many demonstrations and building the climate justice movement. Thank you, Rich City Rays. Can we get a round of applause either in reactions or, in your own space? Thank you, everyone. All right. I also we are doing super good on time, everyone. So make sure to think of those questions for our lovely honorees for the end of the call. I have the pleasure of also introducing the next honoree, Miriam Eid, who is the Executive Director at Fossil Free California. Miriam is a core organizer on the California State Pension Divestment Campaign, including the current divestment legislation, SB 252. I am pretty sure almost all of you have heard of this and are excited about it, as we are. In addition, they're an environmental leadership initiative fellow with Liberty Hill Foundation. In summer of 2021, Miriam returned to their home state of Minnesota to join Indigenous leaders in fighting to stop the construction of the Line 3 tar sands oil pipeline. In 2020, Miriam won the Hamry Community Service Award for founding a free menstrual cup program on the Macalester College campus, where they graduated with the degrees in environmental studies and international studies. They have been instrumental not only in the ongoing divestment campaign, but in climate justice organizing in the Bay Area and California at large. It is my absolute honor to honor Miriam tonight with a Climate Justice Award for their incredible leadership in this fight. And I just want to say thank you already for being here and for accepting this award with us. Please take it away.
I'm really honored to be receiving this award tonight. But really, I think that this work is not just me, and it's not just me that should be receiving the award. It's really the work of everyone who's been working on the California State Pension Divestment Campaign. There's really hundreds of people just this year who have put hours and hours, not just of their paid time, but of mostly their volunteer time, squeezing between their work meetings during their lunch hours and in the hours that they're trying to rest and get ready for the next day. So I really want to shout all of those folks out, and also highlight a few things that have happened this year. So in 2024, as Zoe mentioned, we've been working on the California State Pension Divestment Bill. So divesting CalSTRS, the state teachers retirement bill, and CalPERS, the public employees retirement system, from fossil fuels. The bill's called SB 252, and it's been a very large coalition that we've seen come together. Currently, there's 190 organizations and over a dozen unions who have all signed on in support of this bill. Every week, I have the honor of working with over 20 people who come together to strategize on this bill, to throw in their ideas, and a lot of organizations who are setting this bill as a priority bill. I think we've already seen 4 different lobby days that have centered fossil fuel divestment this year. And I think some of the most inspiring folks for me to work with have been the teachers and the students and the state workers who finish their workday and they turn around and they say, I want my pension out of fossil fuels. They're the people who founded this organization, who took the time to say, no, we need to make this change, and they committed to a decade-long project that's still going. They're the people who students walk up to in the halls of their state teachers conferences and say, hey, we need you to support divestment, and then they go back and organize their local union. And it's the students who are trying to be high schoolers, trying to be middle schoolers, but instead they're taking their weekends and cramming homework on the bus and in the hotel rooms in order to go down to Los Angeles and support divestment. So really, with all of those people, I've been able to show up and do some of this work for divestment.
Be too much.
Yeah. And I think that this is a really cool
I don't
bill
care.
that we get to see happening right now. It has a strong chance of passing. And it's also representing.
Oops, Miriam, you got muted.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, there you go.
Okay. I'll start back at the top. So I think that this particular divestment bill is particularly important for us in the United States now because it represents the two largest pensions that we're trying to divest. And it has a really good shot at happening. And it could set a precedent for many other pensions and large investment firms to divest their money from fossil fuels and really say that fossil fuel companies cannot determine our future, that they cannot stop climate legislation, that they cannot continue to pollute our communities, that they cannot continue to shut us down, and that our voices are the ones that are going to prevail. So thank you so much to everyone who has contributed. We have people who contributed thousands and thousands of hours, and we have people who have made enormous impacts with 5 minutes, 2 hours. I think some people that I think of is there was a volunteer in Sierra Club who wrote a letter to their editor that triggered this entire divestment bill. They were not someone who spent hours and hours and hours working on this campaign, but their efforts really made a difference in changing this work. And so this is the moment that I really want to ask you all to help me make this divestment bill possible. Once I'm finished talking, I'll drop in the chat 2 links. One is an opportunity for you to call your legislator and let them know that you want to see divestment passed. Our bill is currently halfway through the legislature, and we want to see it pass the assembly. And so if you can call your assembly member, let them know it matters, they'll hear you, and it's a great chance for us to see this pass. In addition, if you can't call or if you're calling already, please send an email so that they can hear your voice yet again. So thank you all so much, and I'll pass it back to Zoe.
Thank you, Miriam. Can we get a round of applause with reactions and with yourselves and in the chat, please, for Miriam? I also want to say that you definitely deserve some flowers because also, I mean, how many executive directors do you know in their 20s? Miriam is rocking it. Miriam's doing so much, and we so appreciate everything you do. You gotta get the stickers if you don't have them, folks. You gotta show your support for 252. Make the calls, do the stuff. Thank you, Miriam. All right, I'm going to share my screen again and present you with the certificate for your leadership in building a powerful campaign to get the state pension funds to divest from fossil fuels, holding these funds responsible for their complicity in the climate crisis. Thank you, Miriam. All right, we are going to move right along, and I'm going to pass it to Cheryl Davila to introduce our next honoree.
Hello, everyone. I was muted. How are you this evening? I'm so honored to be here to introduce Sabrina Jacobs, host of KPFA's A Rude Awakening. Sabrina Jacobs decided to validate her love for radio after a short stint at the Bay Area Video Coalition with the decision to go back to school and to get a degree in broadcasting at San Francisco State University. 14 years and several promotions later, Ms. Jacobs is the host and producer of A Rude Awakening, the climate crisis show, which airs Friday mornings at 8 a.m. on KPFA 94.1 FM in Berkeley. Sabrina Jacobs states, "It's been an absolute honor to be placed in this position of responsibility, delivering the facts of public interest and concern." So I am so honored and humbled to be able to be in the space this evening with all the awardees, but specifically to be in the space with Sabrina, who I listen to on Friday mornings at 8 o'clock, and have never met before, and so honored to see you virtually. We've talked on the phone and things, and thank you for always announcing our events at the Climate Emergency Mobilization Task Force. So take it away. Thank you.
All right. Cheryl, thank you. Thank you for yeah, I'm touched. Zoe, 350 Bay Area, thank you for recognizing. It comes down to recognition. That's all we ever want for the work that we do. And this is actually the first time I've ever been recognized. So I thank you so much. And Cheryl, it's been a pleasure. I can't wait to actually do coffee with you in person, and all of you actually. But yeah, I've been doing the show for 4 years now, and a lot of the names that I'm seeing here in attendance, very familiar. I've spoken to you before. I've done interviews with you before, connected with you on some level before. And if I haven't, looking forward to doing that. But yeah, it's an absolute honor to be here. So I've learned that there's a pattern to understanding the climate crisis movement, and how it's part and parcel to the climate justice movement, as there is a pattern to everything. And that pattern of events that brings you to where you land in this movement is, of course, predicated on your individual experience. Um, and that pattern that I've noticed, it comes down to this: folks that have choices and the folks who don't. So you may be one of those folks who wants to start growing your own food, and you don't want to use pesticides. What do? You look for an agroecological sound practice that can work for you, or you're looking to lessen your carbon footprint, whatever that means to you, biking instead of driving, fill in the blank on that, right? All boils down to a choice. You have a choice. On the flip side, you may want to move out of the fire zone in Sonoma County or the tornado zone in the southern United States, and you find that you can't because it's too expensive and your homeowner's insurance has dropped you, as they're wont to do nowadays because they can get away with it, leaving you stranded. That's not a choice. So, and then the final scenario, of course, we have the legislators, the policy influencers, the lawmakers, and they have one of the most frustrating jobs because their process can be so long and arduous. And most of those folks have made the decision to do that job. And I commend them for it, because this climate crisis waits for no one. And we all know how long it takes to get laws approved and passed, et cetera, et cetera. So these scenarios that I've just presented are not just specific to the United States. It involves people all over the world, all over this global village, in the throes of making a decision to do something about the climate crisis, or being forced to deal with the consequences of the climate crisis. And at this point, I hope I put my hope in the youth. I put my hope in the younger generation, or the younger generations, because they put themselves on the front line. We're leaving them with a hot mess to deal with. But that is pretty much what I've learned from doing this type of radio, this type of broadcasting, this type of advocacy journalism. And it hasn't been easy. It's been very frustrating, but with that despair there's been so much hope. And being amongst all of you tonight, it's yeah, my heart is exploding right now. It really, really, truly is. So for you, dear listener and potential listeners, I have concluded that my job as the host and producer of A Rude Awakening is to bring those stories of choice and forced migration, the stories of choice, and of being forced to watch everything you own go up in flames or blown to smithereens in a tornado. Those stories of choosing to make a difference, and the stories of those that are battling for their very lives on the front lines of this climate crisis. It is my duty to bring those stories to you in their purest forms. And I may miss the mark. I'm not going to please everyone. Not initially, right? But if you hear someone's voice on the show that speaks to whichever segment of the climate crisis or climate justice field you're on, you're in, you're occupying, then I'm doing the right thing. So again, I thank you and eternally honored.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here with you. And then I was just curious, like, how has it been getting people to get on your show? How do you select because you have such a wide international, all different topics of the climate. So I was just curious about that.
Oh gosh, I read a lot. I read a lot. I read a lot of I read a lot of everything, but it's been about reading. It really does come down to reading, Cheryl. It's and just making the connections that way. One story has, it leads to another story, and it leads to another story, and then it leads to folks getting in contact with me, vice versa. It's yeah, I couldn't even, yeah, it's really, really hard to discern. But yeah, I make the sole decisions as far as who's going to be on the show and who's not. And yeah, I try to stick with the stories that no one's talking about. Try to stick with the stories that that nobody hears about. That you're not going to hear on mainstream media. That you're not going to hear on your cable channels, your cable news networks. I mean, they barely report on a lot of the climate crisis as it is. So, but yeah, just there. If it's troubling, then it should be on the show. Let's put it that way. Thank you for the question.
I didn't know if I should continue with one more question or a statement actually, because at the CEMTF, the Climate Emergency Mobilization Task Force, that's how
Right.
we operate too. We talk about things that everybody else isn't talking about. But the interesting thing is there's so many, it's such a vast area of scope, we
Yeah.
haven't crossed lines.
Right, exactly.
You're inspiring me all the time.
Actually, you know what? I've
So
got a
thank
couple.
you for that.
I've had a couple of people from your gatherings. I've had I think one or two. Nick Avasco was on,
Mhm.
and I think one other person. I cannot remember who, but yeah, no overlap, no overlap at all. That is the crazy part, and it's sad, but at the same time, it's like, okay, let's take this all on. Let's make this all a good reality. Where we're all doing something about this climate crisis. But yeah. But thank you so much. Thank you so much, Cheryl. I appreciate you, and I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it here this evening. Thank you, Zoe. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina, and thank you, Cheryl. So appreciate you, and thank you for, we really wanted to recognize you for your work in amplifying these stories and amplifying the things that you might not hear on the other news channels or, on the radio or these other sites. So, the amplifying of truth to power as a host, and the diversity of activists and experts that you highlight and spotlight, in regards to our movement and the climate emergency is really inspiring, and it opens so many doors and opens so many eyes, as we've seen even just in this call. So can we get a round of virtual applause, please, for Sabrina?
Should I read this or did you read it already?
I read it. I think we're good.
Okay, sorry. Okay,
No,
I
yeah.
apologize. Thank you.
No, you're good. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Sabrina.
Thank you, Zoe. You're amazing. Thank you, Zoe. Thank you, Cheryl.
All right, I'm going to pass it to our final to Laura, our executive director, to introduce the final honorees of this evening. Go ahead, Laura.
Hey, we are so pleased to recognize El Concilio of San Mateo County, which is a community organization that connects low-income, primarily Spanish-speaking households and individuals to programs that offer housing, financial, and other assistance. Aurelio Huizar is the program manager for El Concilio and has been with the organization for over 18 years. Aurelio works with community members, helping them take advantage of many different kinds of support programs. Aurelio has been instrumental working with 350 Bay Area on the Fast Path to Clean Indoor Air project for the past year and a half. The Fast Path project is a pilot study to identify the benefits and roadblocks to providing portable electric HVAC units and air purifiers to low-income households experiencing high levels of ambient air pollution, a project which has been picked up for the next stage by the CPUC's Cal MTA program, and El Concilio has been asked to continue to work on this project. El Concilio and Aurelio have been outstanding partners, highlighting their commitment to supporting community members with health supporting equipment. I am truly honored to introduce Aurelio.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Laura. I'm sorry for my English fault. I try to do my best. Laura, no, I'm taking English class as second language. Community College San Francisco. And thank you, Laura and Catherine, for the opportunity to be part of this program. As Laura mentioned before, I'm working at the Concilio for the last more than 10 years, probably. I'm not sure, the time go fast. At the beginning, when I started to hear about the green movement, air quality, it was hard for me and for my community, because I remember one of the first surveys we do with the community. They say, well, the tortillas and the tamales and the mole taste better with the gas. How we can make tortillas and tamales in electrical stuff. So, and what's true, the flavor is a little bit different, but when you become familiar, they say, well, it's almost the same. It's never gonna be the same, but it's almost the same. And then talking about the waterization program, slowly the community take that program, like the CARE program, the energy savings assistance programs, with the Stanford, El Concilio working with the Stanford in another program. And then when we had the opportunity to meet Laura, 350 Bay Area organization, and she was talking about this program, the time go fast. And then when I think so, we're learning too much for this program as community, and because we're learning in both ways how to save energy in home, how to work with the internet, and different I'm gonna say materials for all the small the air purifier, the heater, the AC, and because when I call the customer, I say, you need to connect the QP. What does a QP mean? What does the AC mean? Can you explain that one? oh, you had to take this survey. How I can do that? You go to internet. You had to download the application. You had to read. We learning to the community learn about the internet. But the other users or the other problem was internet in home. Low-income families, not all of them have the opportunity to have a fast internet in home. So that's another big problem we face with this program. But slowly the people and I personally start to learning how this thing work, and I was able to pass the information to the customer. I remember the many times I was talking with Catherine, how I can do that? How I explain this one to the customer? But at the end, and probably today, we're still working with this in this program, in surveys and explain how this thing work. But I think so. For me as community worker, I'm gonna say one small change can help in the environment. Working, be part of this program, and learning by myself and I to the customer. I learn and teaching to the other. You go to connect, you go to the electrical, it's not gonna be gas station, it's what electrical station. It's working same a gas station. The only thing at the time you're charging your car, you can go to shopping, you can take your lunch time, you can use this free time to do something. Maybe call your family, maybe call your friend and say, you know what, let me do this one. We're facing many barriers, but slowly we are working together. And I'm gonna say thank you for listening to me. Thank you, Laura, Catherine. Thank you to recognize El Concilio work. Thank you, everyone.
I have a follow-on question, Aurelio.
Yes.
Are you going to be working on this project with the in the next phase with the Cal MTA program?
Yes, we are continuing working in your program, and we have another program. It's very similar, but then we are in the program. Yes.
Are you going to be able to add more participants or just focus on the folks that are already in the program?
We are able to enroll more participants because now they focus on, I believe, in apartments. So, and I focus in one specific north area in San Mateo. So we probably had like a 40 units, different total for the one we're working with you, with the 50 Bay Area.
Have you gotten any specific feedback from your clients about that they've noticed improvements to their indoor air and their health from?
Oh, I had many. Do you want the hardest or the funny ones? When I called in and like I said, the QP is disconnected. How you know my QP is disconnected? How you know my internet is not working? Say because we receiving the information to the internet. And other one was well, one of that was like, you know what? I going to disconnect the QP. Why? Because I think so someone is watching me. So they're not watching you to the QP. Come on. Because they have like a camera, like a small green camera, and say, no, they don't watching you. They only breathing. Yeah, well.
This is the air quality monitor.
Yes, we're talking about that one. Oh, for example, with the AC, they say it's making some noise at the nighttime. It's not noise, it's only recycle the air in your home. Oh, when we call them to say, you know, the air quality in your apartment is worse than the air quality outside. Please open the window. How you know that? Well, the machine is working, the technology, when I said internet, the material, all these situation, we know the air quality in your house is no good, so please open the window. So that's a feedback I hear for the customer.
We did hear a couple of people say when they had people with asthma in the house, in those surveys, they reported that they felt that their asthma or their child's asthma had improved from using the air purifiers.
Yes, that's true. I can't
then I
say the
have to
name of the
tell-
people, but yes, they say, you know what, my child is playing better in home. My child is now, I don't want to, well, I'm gonna say the word focus, but they say this is more, they put more attention with what they are doing.
That's very good.
So they're like, okay, that's good. That's good to
I'm
hear.
going to tell one very funny story. So
Okay.
Aurelio and I were worked together on some of the installations, literally bringing the equipment into people's homes. And actually a couple of the clients were literally less than a block away from El Concilio's office. And we met this lovely woman, and I was chatting with her through an interpreter while the person, I don't know if you were at this one, Aurelio, but anyway, she knew who you were, obviously. So Aurelio calls me the next day and he says that Maria has called him and said she loves the air conditioning. It's so great because their apartment was really hot. And she offers to make Aurelio tamales. Remember that?
Right.
And Aurelio, she's very busy. And Aurelio, of course, turns her down for the tamales. And he tells me the story. I'm like, I would have had a tamale.
Yes. Yeah,
Anyway, I mean, this is such an exciting project that is improving people's health if we can get them to turn on the equipment. We have noticed, we are spying on the air quality, that's true, but we have noticed that the air quality really goes to hell in a handbasket when they're cooking. And so there's a great deal of education that's required to support this, but boy, do people appreciate having conditions. These are older buildings, not well insulated. We had a number of people say, even when it was in the mid-80s outside, that it would get to be 110 in their apartment and that they couldn't sleep there. They had to find
Right.
somewhere else to
Okay.
go. And when you combine those conditions with a high smoke day, then it's a recipe for a disaster. So we're working hard on it. We're so excited it's been taken up by the statewide program and that El Concilio is going to keep working away on this. Thank you so much, Aurelio. You've just been a fabulous, fabulous partner, and we honor you and appreciate you deeply. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you, everyone.
Don't leave yet. You have to get the certificate. You want me to read it, Zoe? To El Concilio of San Mateo County, in recognition of your work for racial and climate justice through service to low-income and BIPOC communities in need of better air quality and heat resiliency, using technology that is accessible and affordable for those suffering from the climate crisis. Our heartfelt thanks.
Thank you.
Over to you, Zoe.
Thank you so much, Aurelio. Thank you so much, Laura. So appreciate you and thank you for everything you do. If you don't know from our social media and our newsletters, May is Clean Air Month, which we're making a big deal of. And Aurelio's work and El Concilio's work is a huge part of that. And it is so exciting to be able to participate in these things together. Actually, to the point of that, I'm just going to add in as a quick little pitch right here that if anyone is interested in participating in another clean air project, this weekend, Saturday and Sunday in Martinez, we are going to be passing out 300 air purifiers to people that live next to the Martinez refinery. This is a project that we've been working on for some 6 months, and we've secured this donation from LASCO that makes these air purifiers. and we're working with Healthy Martinez, Refinery Accountability Group, and Common Humanity Collective, a mutual aid group that puts together box fan air purifier builds. And it's a really exciting opportunity to do this. So I'm going to put in the chat a Google form that goes to oh, hold on, let me make it a hyperlink. That goes to a sign up for Saturday and Sunday. If you can only come to one, or if you can only come for a little bit, that is great as well. We could use all the hands we could get, or if you know anybody that might be available, we'd appreciate it. Thank you so much. Just wanted to add that pitch in there. So
Zoe, I'm
yes.
coming with a friend.
Sorry?
I'm coming with a friend, so I hope
Oh,
other
great.
people
Lovely.
will join me there at Martinez. It's going to be a really great day. Thanks for doing this.
Great to hear that. Thank you. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move. We are about 10 minutes ahead of schedule, which is awesome. It means y'all probably get some of your evening back a little bit early. But first, we're going to go into a little bit of group Q&A. So if you have any of these questions that have been brewing as people have been speaking, please feel free. And I think probably the best way to do it is either by raising your hand or putting an asterisk in the chat or a question in the chat, and then we can have the relevant people speak it. I think maybe, let's see, maybe we'll get started with a question from me, which is, let's see, just check that people are still okay, I think the raise had to drop off. I had a question for them. But my question is for Sabrina, which is who is one of the people that you've had on your show that you have either learned the most from, or you had the most interesting conversation with that you like maybe weren't expecting?
Oh gosh. Thank you for your question, Zoe. Oh man, that's a tough one. That is a trick question, actually, Zoe. Thanks a lot. I would have to say, the most compelling would be a gentleman from South Africa, and he was I've interviewed him several times, and what they have found working with other African nations on the continent of Africa, as far as this climate crisis is concerned, there's a lot that's been spoken about loss damage. So I learned a lot about loss damage. It's finally come up at COP, the Conference of Parties, as something that needs to be dealt with instead of just discussed. So I would have to say, yeah, his name is Gabriel Manwangadzi. And yeah, you can check out the interview that I did with him, the last interview I did with him about 6 months, maybe a year ago, in regards to that loss damage. So yeah, he's amazing. Really, really amazing. But yeah, I think he would be one. But to be fair and truly be honest, Zoe, I mean, I've had some amazing conversations. I've learned so much from every show that I've done. So it really truly is hard to narrow it down to just one person. But yeah, thank you for the question.
Thank you. That is really interesting. That's an issue that is becoming ever more important and pressing. So it's super interesting to hear about that. And I'm sure you get so many interesting, fascinating subjects. There's a million rabbit holes you could go down. Let's see here. Does anyone else have any questions? Jonathan, go ahead.
Thank you. Do you need, I usually keep my screen off, no big deal. Yeah, I'm an illustrator and a writer, and I want to create a book about global warming because it seems like it's apocalyptic. Except the weird thing is that the facts on it seem hard to find. And I want to make it easy for people by basically making a children's book for adults. They need it. Oh my God. Give me a break. Yeah, so I think I'm looking for like an organization or an individual to work with to get those facts and then be able to put them in a really concise way for people to digest, because it's like, I'm supposed to be educated. I care about these things, but I have trouble finding these facts, to be honest. And part of the, I'm now in California, but I lived in Arizona, a very red state. And I'm used to talking to Republicans, but then like, I want to talk to them about global warming. And I'm like, I have nothing. I can't even talk to liberals about it, So I need more facts. So anyway, I just think in general, I need, I wanted to get more facts, but in general, how do we point people to resources for those facts? Because it's like, it's a huge thing and it's just very unclear. So anyway.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. Does anybody in particular want to take that? I'd also say that if people have any recommendations for some of their favorite places to get their information from, if you might want to put it in the chat. I know there's some amazing resources out there, though I know that they can be kind of elusive and hard to find.
Yeah, in a way, it's like the people on the right, it's almost like a working class thing. And they feel like the global warming stuff is like this Ivy League thing. And nobody is compassionate enough to just look at them in the eye and say, yada yada. And
we have so much more in common than anyone can tell. And, we really need to all be in this together. Otherwise, we don't stand a chance. Miriam recommended The Sea is Rising by Cynthia Kaufman. Thank you, Miriam. Just in the interest of moving things along, I recommend checking that out. And I'm gonna go to Jack, whose hand is raised.
Oh yeah, I was just thank you, Joseph, for sticking around with us. And I was wondering if you could expand a little bit on what you know about Barbara Lee's plans are. She's going to be in office just for a short time, and you said that she wants to stay on being an activist. Do you have anything more in particular that she said, or what she plans to do?
Nothing specific as of now. Obviously, she's very focused on cementing. Excuse me. She's very focused on her legacy and what the rest of this year looks like. She is showing no signs of slowing down or behaving at all like what we normally think a lame duck should act like. She is pushing away through the summer, and so I imagine she'll be running around until the legislature, the last session of this year will end probably about the second week of December, and she will be fighting tooth and nail until then.
Thank you.
Love that. Does anyone else have any questions? I'm not seeing any hands. Feel free to.
Well, I could say another thing about Jonathan's statement. 350 Bay Area, we're pretty much focused on people who already agree that there is a climate crisis. And the same thing, Cheryl and I work on the Climate Emergency Mobilization Task Force. These are cities that have already declared a climate emergency. So yeah, it's a different thing to try to convince somebody that there is a climate crisis. That's not really our main strength. We try to aim our work at people that already recognize that there's a crisis, and like Cheryl says, we're in a heap of trouble. Or you had another quote there, Sabrina, tonight. I can't remember, about a hot mess. We're in a hot mess. That was, I think you said. So like, we're kind of like oriented towards people who already get that, but I do think that it is important what you're trying to do, because, you know, if you're in a red state, that's certainly, and I'm from Illinois. I've got relatives that voted for Trump, and, you know, like, I don't even know how to talk to them, frankly. It's just, it's very difficult. So wish you luck. I don't know. The first book, I think James Hansen wrote a really good book about the storms of our grandfathers. I would recommend that, if just in terms of the science of climate change.
I was going to say, I haven't got good at talking with them, but I've gotten good at reading their body language.
That's crucial. All right, I think that with that, I think we're at a good spot. If anybody has any lingering questions, I'm pretty sure in the Eventbrite we've linked the websites of all of the honorees, so feel free to follow up there. And I want to offer a toast if anybody's got a reusable water bottle near them. Just thank you to all of the honorees, Sabrina, Aurelia, Miriam, and the Rays, Asho and Alfredo, and to Joseph for joining us tonight and for really making our movement something special and having an incredible community here that we can really celebrate. And it's such an amazing opportunity. Thank you so much, and have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow. If not, have a good one until the next time we see you, and have a great night. Thank you.
Zoe.
Thank you, Zoe.
Thank you. Terrific.
Thank you.
Congrats, everyone.
Yes.
Congrats.
Hi, Nan.
Love and respect.
Thank
you.
Thanks for the great program, and congratulations to everyone. Wonderful awards. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Cheryl.
Bye.